All right. Good morning. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Charles Thompson, a executive advisor here at Powur. This is the 1st of March. How quickly this year is going. Welcome to our Powur Certified Real Estate Zoom. A little bit about us, and I think most importantly is to talk about our mission. And our mission is to accelerate the adoption of solar on a worldwide level. And with that, we have a vision of paneling over 2 million homes with solar by 2025. And in doing so, we're going to revenue share and remunerate over $2 billion to partners and advisors in the world. And we're excited about that proposition. So we're a technology company. It's created a disruptive platform. This is going to tremendously impact the real estate industry. You'll see a few examples here. And we're providing a solution. We're easing how to match people with people who crowdsource homeowners with solar providers. And we'll talk a little bit more about that during the call. Why we're here is we want to help you see a way to sell more homes, become a trusted advisor in the renewable energy space, and create an additional revenue stream to lay over the top of what you're doing without distracting from what you're currently doing. So it's an additional revenue stream. We've got some great agents who are now starting to bring success stories back to us. We'll start to add those to this map. We're just waiting for images on some of them. We have in almost every state in the United States, seeing how to benefit and leverage power within the real estate community. Now, I've used the term disrupt, and I think it's important to kind of frame that and kind of guide what that means. And to disrupt is to break something apart or to radically change, in this case, an industry. And then to decentralize is to take that authority away from a centralized figure and break it down into regional or local type authority. And you'll see how effectively we're doing that. But before we do, I want to kind of give you 2 examples of what disruption has done. So it's not construed as a negative term. You look at the hospitality industry with Airbnb, who emerged in just 2008. Prior to that, Marriott, very successful hotel chain valued at $19 billion. Airbnb comes around with a couple of young guys who couldn't afford to pay their rent. They put a couple of air mattresses in their dining room. They rent it out. Boom, they create the success story. They launch a platform for anyone anywhere in the world now who wants to find a room to match up with someone who has a room. Just a very simple approach. And they're now the largest hospitality network in the world, valued at over $30 billion. That's the kind of disruption that we're talking about. Uber, another very successful story, changes the way I've traveled. You know, the old taxi industry, as it used to be known, dating all the way back to the horse and buggy days, $11 billion industry. You find Uber, who emerges. They create a disruptive platform where people anywhere in the world who are looking for a ride are matched up with someone who has a ride. Look at what's happened in this industry. They're now valued at $66 billion. They don't employ any drivers. They don't own any cars, yet they're the largest transportation company in the world as it's known today. Well, there's another industry that is emerging with disruption, and that's what's next. It's the energy industry. And what we have done is we've created a platform that allows anyone who's looking to reduce the cost of their energy to match up with someone who can reduce their cost of energy. And with that platform, it creates massive opportunity for each of you to be able to participate in revenue share in a $6 trillion annual industry. If you look at all those other companies combined, they probably come up to about $1 billion. This industry literally dwarfs all of those combined. How about if you had an opportunity to share in the revenue of those previous companies? This is one that you have the opportunity to share in the revenue, and we are now introducing it to the real estate community. And to help us understand a little bit more about that, I'm going to actually ask Mr. Jim Bunch, our president, to speak to us. Jim was part of a disruption back in the '99 with the real estate industry in a very, very successful way with a company called bamboo.com. You might know them as ipix.com. What a success story. A $2.2 billion market cap, over 100,000 agents, and $30 million in revenue year one. Jim is taking our platform to the very same industry that he disrupted back in the 90s, and we expect to do even greater things with your industry and share in that revenue with you. And to kind of expound upon that, I'd like to have Jim take command. Mr. Bunch.
Thanks, Charles. So real quick, Steve and Warren, just give me a thumbs up on this. Were you guys around? Hey, were you guys around when virtual tours were introduced? Were you in the real estate industry Back in the late 90s? Yeah. Okay. So you remember that technology that came in and basically changed the way that homeowners were going online now instead of driving around for 6 months. It disrupted the industry. The difference is agents adopted across the board because of the way that we rolled it out and all this. But the difference was we couldn't reward the agents for all of that technology that you guys helped adopt. That's the simple reality. So this time we said, we know we're going to disrupt the industry again. It's going to be the energy industry. It's going to take place in the backyard of every homeowner. In other words, in your primary focus, but we wanted to compensate the agents for doing this. But before we do that, let's go back and look at the evolution of, as consumers, our energy usage. If you go back to the 1950s home, right? And I entered the world in 1969, so this is even a little before my time. But our energy grid that was built in the United States only had small energy requirements. You had light, fridge, radio, and a black and white TV. Most families only had one of those. But if you fast forward to today, look at the amount of things we plug into a house and an office. You've got lights, fridge, washer, dryer, radio, multiple TVs, all kinds of appliances, air conditioners, HVAC systems, multiple computers, iPhones, iPads, and now we're plugging in electric cars. I have an electric car that's in my garage that plugs into my home grid that's connected to the power grid of the United States every single day. So what's happened is we built this grid decades ago, but our consumption has gone up by over 400%. Now the challenge with that is, how are we producing this energy? Well, the way we power the energy grid today is through what? When you flick on a light switch or you plug in your iPhone, your energy is coming from digging up coal or burning coal, oil, and gas. So we don't think about it, but every time that we use energy, someone has to burn a fossil fuel. That is the archaic way that we've been getting our energy. And as consumers, we really haven't had a choice. When you flick that light switch on, you haven't had a choice. But what we're seeing, just like we're seeing the trend of technology disruption, we're now seeing a trend of a shift, if you will, from burning fossil fuels, which creates what we call dirty energy, to clean energy across the country and across the world. So if you take a look at this, there's really two reasons this is happening, two trends, the macro and the micro. On the macro, we had 190 nations, which is basically every nation around the world, get together and sign the Paris Climate Treaty, which says we're going to move off of fossil fuels to renewable energy, whether it's solar, wind, hydro, whatever. We're just going to make that shift. We have to. Now, in the United States, we followed suit with 21 cities that have already raised their hand and said, we're committed to being 100% sustainable. I live in San Diego, and San Diego was one of the first. I was in Tampa a few months back in November, and that's when Tampa said, we're going 100%. Just recently, Las Vegas is now getting their energy 100% from renewable. So it's not only good for the environment, but financially, these cities are saving millions and millions of dollars by shifting to renewable energy. You're also seeing political battles being won, like Amendment 1 in Florida, where the energy companies and the Koch brothers got together and tried to run deceptive ad campaigns to fool the voters. Well, we woke everybody up, and they actually defeated Amendment 1. So now Florida, the sunshine state, can actually have solar. That amendment would have made it so Floridians didn't have a choice of their energy. But here's a big kicker on a macro. We've had 50 years of rising fossil fuel costs and environmental pollution. And if you think about this, you haven't had a choice of what you pay for electricity. Most parts of the country and most parts of the world, you had to pay whatever you had to pay, and it's gone up by about 8% a year. 8% the costs have gone up per year for the last 50 years. Now that's on the macro side. And if you want to build a massive business, you've got to look at macro trends, but you also have to take a look at the micro trends. And we've already talked about consumers a little bit who are adopting, TVs and iPads and smartphones. That's what we call the electronic adoption. We're also now seeing a major trend moving through real estate, which is the smart homes and electric vehicles. Let's take a look at some of the data. Number one, a national poll of U.S. homeowners on clean energy says that 69% want more choices when it comes to their energy and electric supply. Haven't had a choice? Now you do. 88%, almost 9 out of 10 homeowners want renewable energy, and 62% of them said that they're interested in solar. So what does this mean? It means that out of the 90 million owner-occupied houses in the United States, only 1 million of them have solar, and it's taken us 40 years to get that. However, Charles, if you can switch this next one. There are 5 top reasons, and as an agent or broker, this is important for your agents and other brokers to understand that the homeowners are already asking for this. Here's the top 5 reasons. Number 1, they want to reduce or eliminate their electricity bills. Think about this. As the mortgage rates go up, guess what's going to happen? People are going to be pinched. They're going to be looking for ways to save money. As all of these interest-only loans come up in the next couple of years, people are going to be looking for ways to refinance and cut bills. Number 2, they want an asset that continues to grow. Number 3, they want a solid investment. Solar panels, by the way, are an asset. Number 4, they want to reduce environmental impact. If you can have clean energy versus dirty for the same price or less, of course you want clean. Now, here's a big one that we didn't know until we surveyed them. For example, it's for preparing for emergencies that could compromise access to electricity. In Florida, when the last hurricane came through, do you know how many people were out of power for how long? Imagine this. Over 1 million people were without power for 14 days. How long could you go without your refrigerator storing food? 3-4 days? How long could you go? Charles, you may have to hop in here. My throat's a little off. Let's see if it clears up. But how long could you go without charging up your phone? How long could you go without using a computer? Think about this, right? Yeah, water. Okay, thank you. Hold on. All right, got my water. All right. So these are the reasons that they want to, that they're asking for solar. But what we're also noticing is there's a big thing that happened about 5 years ago called zero down solar. And zero down solar is what's actually driving this conversation. Zero down solar is a financing option that helps a homeowner save money. It helps them increase their value and own their own energy. What it means is that solar companies have the ability to come out, give somebody a proposal. If the homeowner likes the proposal, which will save them money every month, they'll put panels on somebody's roof. The solar company will finance the panels through a zero down loan, meaning the homeowner puts nothing out of pocket. On average, they're financing these things for 10, 15, 20 years. When they put those panels on the roof, it actually saves the homeowner money every month. So let's say they're paying $200 a month, it might drop their bill to $150 a month. So it doesn't sound like a big savings unless you multiply that times 10, 15, 20 years. It's also going to pay for those panels. So at the end of the 10, 15, 20 years, however they finance it, the homeowner had nothing out of pocket. They lowered their monthly bill, and the energy produced from those panels paid off those panels. So they have an asset now, and they have no energy cost after that. Because once the panels are paid off through the energy they produce, the homeowner has those panels free and clear, and now the energy they produce every month is theirs. All right? On average, last year we polled, hold on, go back one sec, Charles. I want to go for one other piece here. On average, when we polled the homeowners that we have and looked at their proposals, they save on average $26,000 over the life of the agreement. So it's like you're going to a homeowner saying it's costing you nothing out of pocket, and over the next 10 to 15 to 20 years, you're going to save $26,000, plus you're going to own your energy free and clear. It's going to increase your home value on average $20,000. So if you sell your home, guess what? Your home went from $200,000 value to $220,000 value. And whoever moves in will adopt that zero cost energy home when they move in. So what we're seeing is a massive trend, and maybe you've seen this too, where the new next big thing in real estate is homeowners that are buying homes and they're putting on panels. They're putting in LED light bulbs. They're wanting energy storage. They're wanting smart controller devices, smart appliances, electric vehicles. This is what's happening in the industry. And we want every agent and broker to be the trusted advisor to share this conversation and educate the homeowners, all right? But let's look at the market for a second. Here's the simple reality. Right now, less than 2% of the homes of the 90 million have solar. It's taken us 40 years to put 1 million panels on homes. They expect to do another 1 million panels in the next 18 months, okay? So what you're going to see here is you're going to see this $6 trillion wave roll through your industry. It's going to roll through every home and every office in the country and in the world. So the real question is when do you want to participate and how do you want to participate? The innovators were the first million. Okay, these are the people that were doing the panels because it was the right thing for the environment. It didn't make financially sense. When zero down financing came in, now all of a sudden the early adopters started coming in. That's where we are now. And if you look at Moore's Law, what you'll notice is that anytime a technology is introduced, when it goes from 1% to 10%, it goes immediately from 10% to 50% overnight. So right now we're at 2%. We expect the next 3 to 4 years to take us to 10%, and then we expect the next 2 to 3 years to take us to 50%. So in the next about 6 years, we're positioning our company and each of you to ride a $6 trillion retooling of the world, okay? This is a major, major opportunity. I thought virtual tours was big, and we did 2.2 billion. This is a $6 trillion shift that is already happening, and the governments and the cities and the consumers are all driving this trend. This is where we are now. Now, there's a big challenge with this. The homeowners are confused, okay? For the last 40 years, some people have gotten introduced to it, but the concept is, well, solar's too expensive. Well, that used to be true until about 5 years ago. Okay, the cost of panels has gone down and the financing changed. Some people think they don't live where they get enough sun. Well, guess what? Germany is 80% renewable energy. It's at the same latitude as Seattle. Even in Alaska, where it's dark 6 months out of the year, they're still installing solar. Why? Because when it's sunny there, it's offsetting the cost of their electricity. New Jersey and New York are two of our fastest growing regions right now. The technology is improving too fast. The improvement in panels has already happened. We've had an 84% improvement. So guess what? There's not a lot of room to improve in the panel solar production. However, the batteries are improving massively. It used to be that the majority of people were doing leases instead of purchasing. Now the panel cost has dropped and the financing has shifted everything to where 65% are actually purchasing. But here's the big one, and this is why we want to talk to agents and brokers across the country. There's 2 million of you, by the way, that interface with these 90 million homeowners. They don't know who to trust. And there's a big reason for that. They're getting barraged left and right. They're getting hit left and right with this conversation around solar. Charles, if you switch to the next one. So what's happening is that these homeowners are getting hit after escrow by all kinds of people, security, cable, insurance, this, whatever. There's a lot of misinformation out there about the financing, about the panels, about the batteries, things like that. They're getting hit every day from left and right. When they walk into a Home Depot, they walk into a Costco, there's door knockers, there's telemarketers, there's ads running online and ads running on TV. So they're being somewhat educated, or being made aware, but they simply don't know who to trust. And what we want to do is we want to position you as the real estate advisor to be the go-to person. We want them to come to you to ask, should I or should I not consider solar? And if so, who should I do it with? So if we can go to the next slide, Charles. It says, and what's happening is we already have agents across the country. You saw some pictures of them in the front. We've got 3,500 people right now that are talking to homeowners. And these agents are already leveraging the Masters trend. And here's how. They are using this solar conversation and zero down solar to reconnect with past buyers and add value. In other words, to go back to their farm and instead of talking about a recipe of the month club or hey, that uncomfortable conversation, are you ready to sell? They're actually going in and saying, hey, a lot of your neighbors, your community here in this city, let's say it's North Carolina or San Diego, a lot of people are looking at zero down solar. Have you gotten a free proposal yet to see how much you can save? So it's a simple conversation, but it's a reason to reconnect with past buyers. We're also seeing agents that are starting new relationships because when a homeowner gets panels, guess what? All the neighbors want to know, who did they get it from? How much did it cost? How much are they saving? in this kind of piece. So the agent who's smart is telling that homeowner, hey, when your friends come asking, refer them back to me and I'll help them. That introduces them to new homeowners for buying and selling homes, and also for getting solar. As already mentioned, a higher sale price and higher commissions. They're using this to get more referrals. But here's the key. They're adding an additional revenue stream to the real estate business without taking your focus off the core business. We're going to show you in a couple of minutes how easy our platform is to connect a homeowner with the best local solar providers. All you're doing is connecting these two and putting yourself in position to win financially. All right. So how many of you found yourself saying, hey, when a homeowner says, do you know a lawn care person? Do you know a carpenter? Do you know a plumber? We've all got a guy or a gal for that, right? The core reason is you want a trusted resource. And now you have a trusted resource, not just in your city, but across the country and soon to be across the world. So you now have access to a platform that is going to help your homeowners have the best solar provider in the world. That's the simple reality, all right? In their local area, not in the world, but in their local area. We're already seeing offices starting to onboard this conversation because why? The broker wants their agents to be connecting with those home buyers, and they want their agents to be educated and to have this as a resource. So Carl Stein was one of the first ones that onboarded all of his agents and have them learning how to introduce solar to their homeowners. Renee, I was just up with in Santa Barbara. They're the #1 office. They and Berkshire Hathaway go back and forth for #1 in Santa Barbara, and they're onboarding all of their agents as we speak. So what I'd like to do now is to have Charles introduce to you the platform so that you can see how easy it is to connect a homeowner with a provider, and also how that tracks commissions back to you. And then we'll open it up for questions as soon as Charles is done with this piece.
Excellent. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate that. So introducing Powur, what does that mean? Well, up till about 3 months ago, Powur had an exclusive relationship with a company called SolarCity, the largest residential solar company in the United States. And what we discovered is that on a local level, we needed to do things that were more focused in regard to the solutions, the needs, the regulations, et cetera. We began the development of what we now call our platform, Uberizing the solar industry. And here's a sample of just some of those companies who have become partners. We can bring a new provider into our global grid, our platform, almost as easy as we can onboard a new advisor or a new realtor. Now we're adding more and more market share every single day. In fact, SolarCity, the largest residential installing company, has a fantastic footprint across the United States. But in just 3 months of development and rollout of our platform, we have more than 30% more coverage than SolarCity. We've invested 4 years of our time, $4 million, and now we've rolled this platform out with phenomenal success. And a few of you are in new markets that are now emerging because of this platform. But what does that mean to you? Let's tie it into how you can build your own grid within our platform. It's very, very simple to do. I'll show you from a perspective of adding a new customer into the platform. It starts with adding a zip code. Once you place the zip code into the grid, you hit continue. Once you hit continue, it gives you a list of different providers who are available to provide free proposals, the best in class, best in category local and regional providers in your marketplace. Once you view the providers, you have the ability to select a provider. You can see how much compensation or revenue share you'll participate in right from the platform, right from the grid that you're building. You collect the basic information on the prospect and then submit that prospect into the grid. Once you've done that, we do what's called a live transfer. And in a lot of cases, this is done by an administrative person, or if it's a smaller office, it's done by the agent. And the agent simply calls the solar provider, introduces the prospect on a 3-way call, and then passes the baton over for all intents and purposes, and then monitors everything that happens thereafter. Once that appointment's been confirmed and they do an in-home presentation, results in a closed deal, results in an installation, everything is tracked through the platform, better than any CRM or customer tracking system that you'll ever find out there. Even better is you can track every dollar of monetization that'll occur thereafter through the platform. So we get paid at appointment and at install, and I'm going to kind of dig into that a little bit with what we call our calculator. Sometimes we share numbers. It's easier just to say, let's just talk about helping a handful of people do what we do. So let's kind of break this down and look at what it takes to become a partner advisor within Powur. There's a one-time licensing fee of $499. Look at what we just showed you here with regard to the platform itself. And you compare that again to a CRM system like Zoho or Sales Builders, Salesforce rather, any of those. They typically charge a monthly fee of $40 to $80 just for using their platform. Ours is a one-time licensing fee. Gives you international rights as we expand this company across the country and into international territories. One-time license fee, no monthly fees, no renewal fees, no annual fees, etc. And in addition to that, that allows you to be paid by those best in category solar providers for appointments and for installations. And once you've generated your first 3 installations, you get a $2,000 bonus on those first installations, and you're monetized for every watt of energy that those systems are designed to produce. You get access to a fantastic certification course that takes you through the basics, not to become an expert, to understand the basics about renewable energy and particularly solar. And if you decide that building a team is something that's desirable to you, then you're paid on the team's appointments and you're paid on the team's installations as well. So I'm kind of going to break away from the PowerPoint here. I'm going to move to what we call our revenue calculator. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and stop share for just a moment and kind of put this into context and grab one person. So, Orrin, I know you're there with Steve, but hello, yes. What I'd like to do is kind of walk through this with you fine gentlemen and kind of look at it from a real estate perspective and say, based upon what you've heard, you now know that you have access to the platform once you partner up, become an advisor in the network. And simple questions. I'm going to take you off mute, and then I'm going to go back to screen share. Good, you're off mute. And Steve, would you mind if I role play this with you?
No, go ahead, right ahead.
Excellent.
What can I tell you?
All right, so let's go ahead and go back to screen share and look at this calculator. And this is a very simple way to look at things. We look at either A, we call active income. That's what you're personally participating in. That's the activity you're generating. And when we look at this, we look at just generating a handful of people who go into the platform at 5. And then 1 appointment per month thereafter. Based on what you've seen, how many people do you think you have, Steve, that you'll be able to put into the platform over a period of time?
Over 90 days, I think 5 to 10 would be reasonable, yeah.
Okay, all right, so let's put in 5. And do you think you can get 1 per month thereafter, the balance of that year?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so you said 90 days, that makes 9 more months, so we'll do 9 there, which would give us a total of 14 appointments. Now, just that simple activity, you can see that that's going to generate a profit for you of over $2,500 simply by your active income, not having helped anybody else come in to do anything else in the organization, not doing any team building yet. That's called active income. Good?
Okay.
All right. So now, knowing what you know about what we do, the next part is team building. And that's where you generate some significant passive income by helping others generate active income. So do you feel comfortable that you could find in your first full year a handful of people, 5 people, who could do the same thing that you just did?
Yeah, I think that would be definitely doable.
Okay. So I'm going to put 5 there. And we're only going to ask them to do 1 appointment per month in their first full year. Now you can see what you've done is you've triggered some passive income. They're generating active income equivalent to what you did, and now you're generating passive income off of what they did. The key to really building a large passive income is duplication. And the more you duplicate yourself and you coach them to do the same thing, that's where you're going to start to see your passive income really climb. So we're just going to say simply, you duplicate yourself 1 time. And you help a handful of people who help a handful of people. All right? What's happened now to your passive income, now you're climbing about $700 in monthly income. This is laying over the top of what you're doing in real estate. This isn't taking away from what you're doing. It's basic. You could be referring people who are doing your mortgages, who are in your office as other agents, whoever are knocking on the homes and doing maintenance work that you're referring. Very simple. Just allowing them to get part of this platform. And the key to that is duplication beyond yourself and one other person. Take a look what happens as you start to see duplication happen 2 times, and I'm going to go to 3 times, which is where the numbers really start to get very attractive. Duplicate yourself 3 times, you see yourself in a position of about $10,000 a month in passive income, about almost $120,000 a year. And I think equally important, if this is important for you, look at the amount of CO2 that's being sequestered simply by introducing people to getting free proposals. Now, I could get really crazy and start blowing his numbers up. But let's just say you're able to duplicate yourself 4 times. This is where you really start to see the benefits. So how many agents, how many other home services providers do you think just by simply getting a handful, you can duplicate that process 3, 4, 5 times? That's up to you. And that's the benefit that comes back.
Now I'm curious. You're saying here 5 appointments, or 5 people generating 9 appointments a year.
So look at these numbers, Steve. I'll walk through them with you. And this good. Now that we have it filled out, I can actually break it down. This is you generating 5 in your first 90 days. Okay, that's a handful of appointments, and then 1 per month thereafter.
Hey, Charles.
Okay. Yep. Go ahead, Jim.
I think we need to ask a question. So, Warren, do you understand what an appointment is?
Yeah. I'm almost a senior partner, so I'm like 3 away. I know exactly what an appointment is.
Okay, cool.
That's great. No, now I understand this a little bit better. Seeing the 5 and the 9, and generating 1 every month. I'm starting to obviously get more people into my business and coach them. Also, is what I'm starting to focus on since I'm getting so close. But yeah, that's awesome. In fact, I have a couple of estate agencies friends that this is the exact presentation I want to show them. So
okay, good. And that's the whole purpose. Sometimes you can look at a revenue share plan or comp plan and kind of get confused because there's components to it that you may not understand the language. Even Jim said maybe Steve didn't even know what we classified as appointment. Good point. We have to clarify that. But once you see the simplicity of just getting a handful of people to get a free proposal and then getting a handful of people to come in and do the very same thing, coaching them to do the same thing, helping them, introducing them, having us help you, etc. This is the process of duplication.
Okay, but this is just appointments only.
So appointments and advisors, Steve. So on this line here, this was appointments. And here, this is you helping a handful of people come in and be part of the same platform, generating 12 appointments a year, 1 appointment per month.
Okay, so they're investing $499 in their business, and I'm getting an overriding commission on that $499.
Correct. Look at it like a mentoring pool, mentoring commissions for helping other people do the same thing you're doing.
Right. Okay. And this is just appointments and investment overrides. There's no installs in here or anything like that.
Yeah, I can show you what's behind the scene. This is where this would be a lot harder to explain to you. It does account for an average of 1 in 5 of those appointments going to install. 1 in 5. Very simple, conservative number.
Yeah, and that's just so everybody knows. We use the 20%, 1 in 5 of appointments go to installation. That is across the board with our 1099s, which is what everybody is. When you do your $499, you become a 1099 with us. You're in business for yourself.
Right.
But keep in mind, when we started, we were exclusive with Solar City, we had 1099s from all types of areas, but we have the highest success rate of appointments to installations in the real estate niche, meaning the Janet Greninger, one of the pictures we showed before, hers is not 20%. Her appointment to installation is 60%. Okay.
Wow.
Now the reason is, and we're starting to now just gather data on the real estate, advisors. The reason is obviously you're professionals. You're in contact with the homeowner and you already have the trust. So, if a friend is telling you about solar, that's one thing. But if a real estate professional is talking to you about your home and your asset, the trust level and the respect, the credibility is way higher. So we think that our agents and brokers are going to have the highest in the industry of appointments to installation. So I'd love to see that instead of 20%, be at 50%. but that's, we don't want to publish that yet, but that's kind of what we're looking at, which is why we're saying there's 2 million agents in the United States. There's 90 million homes. If we can get 100,000 to 500,000 to 1 million of those agents connecting with those homeowners, we're going to have a really high adoption rate.
Yeah, no, it makes sense to me.
Good, good, Steve. All right, let's go back to share screen, and we'll wrap this up with a couple of slides, and then we'll go into Q&A, and we're done. So from this point, where we are, you've looked at the company, you understand what we're doing. Hopefully we framed that well for you. The options are, if you look at this, go solar. Take a look at getting a free proposal. Go back to whomever introduced you to this call and take advantage of getting a free proposal and seeing the benefits of going solar. It's free to install. It saves money every single month on the energy bill, and it helps the planet and the environment. What we really hope is that you partner up. You become part of our platform. You become build your own grid within our platform. And then we'll move you through the process of getting your position certified. That's what the mentoring is all about. So when we talk about team building really is mentoring and helping others do exactly what we do. And what's fantastic about this organization is you have an organization of people who really are here to mentor and help you certify that position. And that kicks off all the bonuses and the benefits of being an advisor or partner within Powur. So with that said, what I'd like to do is invite you to do just that. Get back to the person who brought you here today and look at partnering up with us. And let me go ahead and take this off of screen share, and we'll go to a wrap up of Q&A. Just because we're going to get into some probably interesting Q&A, I'm going to stop recording. So for those who are listening to the recorded version, thanks for participating. We look forward to having you on our team, and the best is ahead. Let me stop recording.